All right, friends, we are going to get into our packet and we're going to flip to where it says No Sew Conductive Bracelets. I chose to do this style. There is another style on the next page. You can do whichever you'd like. I'm just going to show you in this video how to do this one. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take a piece of paper, and we need to make it about 2 inches wide. It can be a little bit wider, but about 2 inches is perfect. So we're going to go ahead and cut about 2 inches down. We're going to cut that long ways because remember, this is going to be a bracelet for a hero in our community. So you're actually going to want to get an adult and go ahead and measure around their wrist because your wrists are really tiny. So we're going to measure around their wrist, and then we're going to cut it somewhere back here where it overlaps. Can you see how that's overlapping? Okay, so I'm going to mark it here, and I'm going to cut. And I'm going to show you again how that overlaps on my wrist. Please make sure it overlaps. It cannot just touch at the ends. It has to overlap. So what we're going to do is we're going to take one side of our bracelet and we're going to write a nice thank you for somebody in our community. So I chose to write "Shine Bright. Thank you, hero." And also keep in mind that this is going to have an LED light on it, just one, and the LED light is going to go kind of in the middle of the bracelet. So I chose my sun to go right in the middle. So later, my LED light is going to poke right through that sun. Okay, so keep that in mind when you're thinking about your design on the front. All right, so we've got that piece of paper. We've got one LED light, one battery, and then a whole bunch of maker's tape. Okay, let's get started. So to start, we're going to take our battery out. Maybe. And we're just going to set it here. We're going to flip to the back of our bracelet. We're going to go ahead and set our battery with the negative side up just about there. And I'm going to measure out my maker's tape so that I have a piece of maker's tape that goes from somewhere towards the end to the end of the battery. But I don't want it to come all the way over. I want it to stop on top of the battery. I also found out that if you try to peel it from the side, it definitely peels a little bit better. Okay, so go ahead and tape that down from the end over to your battery. It's going to be just a little wiggly. That's okay for now. Okay, we're going to get 3 pieces of maker's tape that are the same length. About. It's okay if they're not quite. We're going to go ahead and peel those off. And we're just going to cover up towards the end of our bracelet. Just put those right next to each other. And then one more. All right. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our LED and we want the negative side, the longer side, to be up because that's going to connect to the positive side of our battery through the bracelet. So I'm going to flip my bracelet over, and remember I said I wanted my LED light to go right in that sun. So I'm going to go ahead and poke it through like that. I'm going to take that longer side, I'm going to bend it up And then I'm going to bend it towards my battery. So it's up and then towards my battery. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a piece of tape, and this piece of tape is going to run from this part of the wire to underneath my battery. I'm just going to make that a little bit shorter. All right, so I'm gonna put that piece of tape, make sure it is over top of the middle of that wire because it needs to be touching the paper on both sides. So make sure it's covered there. You can see through there. It's covered completely. And you're gonna run that underneath the battery. All right, the next thing you're gonna do is you're gonna take a piece of tape, you're gonna peel it, and then you're gonna make it into a loop, okay? So fold it over and the sticky side's on the outside. You're gonna put that right here on this maker's tape so it connects to the positive side of the battery, which is facing down. All right, so we've got the top, this portion done on our bracelet. Okay, now we're gonna take this shorter edge or shorter wire, we're gonna fold it down, and then we're gonna fold it this way. Okay, we're gonna take a piece of maker's tape, and we want this maker's tape to go pretty far out so that when we fold it over, you can see my design, we want it to go past right about to that design. So I'm just gonna measure before I cut so that I make sure it's long enough. I'm actually gonna hold off on that piece. I'm gonna think about how long it is, and then I'm gonna grab one of my shorter pieces. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to take this piece, and it's going to go from the front around to the back. And this is actually still a little bit too long, so I'm going to cut it down. All right, so I'm gonna just measure that out. Okay, it goes to about there, so I'm gonna lift up. I'm gonna place this down. And I'm gonna fold that over so it's now on the front. Okay, now I'm gonna take that long piece I cut. And again, make sure your maker's tape is covering that wire so you can see that wire through that tape. Right, and I'm going to take this piece all the way down so that it's touching this piece of maker's tape. Okay, and we are all done with this side. And now we're just going to flip over to the front. All right, we're going to take one more kind of small piece of maker's tape, and it's going to run from this piece of maker's tape over. Go ahead and cut that. I'm glad you're seeing me struggle with this maker's tape because I'm thinking that you might be struggling too, and we can just struggle with it together. So we're going to take that piece and attach it down there. And then I'm going to take these last three pieces that I cut to fit this way, just like we did on the other side. just like we did on the other side, we're gonna lay those across there. Made this one a little long, so I'm just gonna cut it off. Okay, and one more. That one's just a tad long, so I'm just gonna cut it off. All right, you're gonna take one more piece of maker's tape, and then you're gonna go ahead and loop it around again to make this sticky loop. You're gonna take that, you're gonna attach it here, and then when you fold your bracelet around, let's cross our fingers. We're gonna attach it here and hope that our bracelet lights up. There we go. Just gonna slide it on. And there you have it. Shine bright.